Hey everybody, thank you very much for joining us today. We're honored to be joined by the Enjin team. We've got Caleb, the Chief Operating Officer, and Witek, the Chief Technical Officer and co-founder. Welcome guys, and thank you for coming today.
Thanks, good to meet you.
Thank you.
So let's start off with a relatively simple one. How would you explain Enjin to a non-technical person? So someone that you just meet on the street who doesn't have much of a background in crypto or technical stuff.
Witek, you want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah, so we are sort of the kind of innovators in the NFT space. We are the first NFT platform. So what that means is, we started in the gaming space 12 years ago. We created a social network. Lots of people on our platform were doing things in Minecraft and video games, getting donations for their Minecraft servers. And around 2017, we realized that we could do something in crypto, but there were no tools available to make game items. So we started building a platform. We built the token standard ERC 1155, which is now becoming the most popular NFT standard in the world. And our real goal is to build a network of tools, like an ecosystem of tools for game developers, for users, for gamers, and businesses to use these non-fungible tokens in interesting ways.
It's really cool. I personally love NFTs. I've been involved in them since the Rare Pet Base back in sort of 2017. I got a bit obsessed with them at the time. But they've really sort of come to the fore over the last year or two, in part driven largely by your guys' work. So some people in our audience might not be as familiar with them, and they might have only read about Beeple in a newspaper or heard about NBA Top Shot sort of tangentially. But it goes much beyond just like artwork and things like that. So maybe Caleb, could you share a bit about how the sort of broader NFT ecosystem is today, sort of how it's evolving, and importantly, how should our audience think about Enjin within that broader context?
Yeah, good question. So NFTs, non-fungible tokens, really took off within the collectible space. And art, I mean, you just mentioned that with Beeple, and we're seeing kind of that wave of interest, but it is evolving. And I think one thing that we're doing here at Enjin that we're heavily focused on is just how do we stay relevant and sticky, creating that meaningful flagship experience with users, so that it evolves naturally, it's gamified and engaging. So as we work with different clients like Microsoft, for instance, or different influencers, this is front and center topic. We understand what NFTs are today, and it's really just the tip of the iceberg. We want to look 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road and figure out how do these living organisms evolve with their owner. So yeah, there's a lot to say on that. Witek, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we've always, for the last 20 years, people have started, really having these online experiences with the internet, with online games. And, you're putting a lot of your identity online. You're spending a lot of time in virtual worlds, on websites and forums and different avenues. We really think that should be preserved, first of all. And you should also have some sort of control over your assets, your characters, your items, your virtual credits, whatever you're using online that is some kind of ownership. You should be able to do things with that. Right now, at least for the last 20 years, things have been stuck in walled gardens, and we can see the amazing things that can happen when developers open up to a community that allow modification, allow plugins, allow people to start harnessing these things. So blockchain is the perfect platform for people to start owning their assets and take them outside of these walled gardens, and that really creates flourishing, amazing economies and tools and websites and games and things like that.
One of the reasons I handed off to Witek is he actually has a really compelling, just everyday use case for why he kind of dreamed up this whole idea of a non-fungible token. As a gamer, having items that you own, Witek, this is a big deal. Like, you jumped into games that you played, 10 years ago, and ranks and leaderboards, things that you had worked hard for, are really lost or just encapsulated within that game. So I think it'd be helpful if you talk about that, because that's really the genesis of this whole methodology going forward, and kind of our baseline to build off of.
Yeah, I mean, like Caleb said, I mean, I've been gaming my whole life. I grew up in the right time where, you know, I was able to start online gaming with Quake, and then Counter-Strike, and World of Warcraft, and all sorts of other MMORPGs. And that's why we built Enjin. In the first place, it was a social network for gamers to sort of build their communities around. And that just exploded to over 20 million users over a few years. And we realized that people love creating, their identities are part of this online universe. You know, whether there's just a nickname in a game, that's part of their identity. So now I come back to these games, the servers have been shut down. I can't access any of that stuff. Part of my history has been lost. You know, I've spent, you know, thousands of hours in certain video games over the years. And I'm sure a lot of people have that same experience. Or, you know, things can happen, your account could get banned, things like that. And all that time that you've invested into the game is just nullified. So I think these tools are firstly going to help people preserve their online identity, have this digital history, and also give developers a lot of creative tools, allow them to create new kinds of economy, allow people to be interacting with the games. You can even have things like, you know, famous gamers, famous celebrities signing your in-game items. You can have games tapping into your history of your characters in those games, and creating narratives that are generated based on that. You can do a lot of stuff, and even just the economic aspects of people just selling their items. They used to have to do this on eBay, and the game developers would frown on it, and it would be really sort of a gray market. Allowing this to open up, I think, is going to add a lot of richness to people's gameplay experiences.
Yeah, and Kevin, I think you also asked about, you know, how does Enjin kind of fit in what we're doing within this broader ecosystem? Yeah. And just lastly, I wanted to touch on kind of the 3 core areas that we're focused on as a company, because it is exciting in the sense that it's making NFTs more of an everyday, you know, tangible type of thing for everyday users. So we've kind of redesigned our wallet. We have a fantastic wallet right now, the Enjin wallet. And we, about 8 to 12 months ago, really dug in and said, you know, we want to understand friction points. We get that the space, the blockchain space, isn't really known for its usability. So we really did a deep dive into UI, UX, and just general usability engineering, and have built what we think is a beautiful, fun, simple, and accessible experience with our new wallet coming out this fall. Kind of taking that hand in glove with NFT.io, we want a web app experience that, again, is simple and fun to use for everyday people. And we've got brands and IPs and enterprise clients lining up that want to experiment and explore what could be possible with the NFT space. So that's kind of bucket number 1. Number 2, we have partnered up with Polkadot and are building the Efinity network on the Polkadot blockchain. We are incredibly excited about this, and we're working hand in hand with their development team. And kind of the sum of that project is that Efinity is really this cross-chain interoperable highway for all NFT transactions. And a little bit, Witek can go into more of, like, what are the nuances of that? What does that actually look like, and how does that solve problems? And third, our third pillar that we're focusing on as a company is enterprise use case. And this really happened naturally. We piloted a project with Microsoft called Azure Heroes. And not only was it successful, but we've really pressed in kind of deeper into the organization and exploring different aspects to how this could be used within the Microsoft ecosystem and beyond. We've seen tremendous results. We're very excited about exploring that further and really looking at new opportunities with new leading companies across the world. So
that's fantastic. I really appreciate that. And then I can actually speak to the wallet. I've used it myself. I've bought some NFTs with your wallet. It's a super slick experience. Even the one that's out today, I know the new one's going to be even better. You kind of raised, both of you guys raised very interesting points around sort of walled gardens. And what we've seen in cryptocurrency, taking it back to sort of the Bitcoin and traditional, like, or legacy, the older cryptos, I guess, at this point, financial services start out as a walled garden, and you had companies like Kraken that came along and built something that could touch the garden. So we're in the banking infrastructure, but we're kind of separate from the large banks. And then there's another world again, which is DeFi, that's kind of growing entirely separate from the infrastructure altogether. If we think about the large gaming companies today and the enterprise people that you're working with, do you see it evolving similarly with NFTs, or do you think they'll adopt the NFTs into the garden, so to speak? I'm kind of curious how you see it, or will it be like NFT games will just be a totally separate universe, similar to the way DeFi has evolved totally separately from traditional financial services?
I mean, I think a few people don't really understand it, and they're trying to sort of build into a walled garden, private blockchains, and things like that. But I think the majority we're talking to right now really are emphasizing that they don't want to have control over this. They want it to be interoperable. They want it to be fully decentralized, both for legal reasons for them, and it just makes it a lot easier when something's decentralized. But just to make it interoperable, it allows the entire community to build off of that. Allows communities to grow. It makes things future-proof. People don't like technical debt and having actually a lot of the large enterprises don't like the idea of having something that they have to maintain forever, and then what happens in 10 years or whatever, right? So I see them emphasizing these points over and over.
Yeah, and there's a big education curve as well. I think there's a lot of exploration at the moment. And so what we want to make sure that we're doing our part in performing proper forward thinking due diligence. So in other words, we don't want to build something that we release and it's just caught up, and the tech and the possibilities are already 2 years out here, right? Yeah. So the space is evolving so fast. And I like to say that there are Kleenex fires all around us, right? Things are burning bright, and there's this really cool craze. You mentioned art and sports collectibles. And yeah, we're seeing tremendous results, but what we're watching and observing right now and collecting is data, and how sticky is that actually going to be? And as we watch prudently, being very wise and aware, we're building. So we're watching, we're collecting data, we're building, and we're taking that information in so that we can have meaningful, intelligent conversations with some of these leading companies who don't want to be a part of the Kleenex fire. It isn't about the transaction. It's about how do you engage your fans in really exciting, new, meaningful ways that stick.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, I mean, we've never wanted to be just just kind of fighting in the space that everyone's doing. Like, everyone's creating a marketplace, everybody's doing this. We always want to be a little bit ahead. Like, what's the next 10 years going to look like? Where can we start putting our efforts so that we can create some new technology that will push the field? And I think as long as we keep doing that, we're going to uncover really interesting gems. We've done that multiple times with NFTs, with the first NFT platform in the world, with ERC 1155 standard, with the Beam QR system where anyone can scan a QR and just get a token like that. With the most secure wallet, a lot of the security things we've been doing. We even worked with Samsung to integrate it into their S10 phone, the first of its kind. And we're continuously doing that with our new products, and it's going to be. I think that'll keep us fresh, and it'll keep this space interesting, and that kind of positions us as sort of thought leaders in the space. And I hope we can continue doing that. It's a really exciting space, so we got to keep digging into that new tech.
Yeah. It's fantastic. And I think one of the very long-term bets that you guys have made is choosing to build on Polkadot. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about why you chose Polkadot over things like other layered ones, like you've got Ethereum, Solana. There's quite a few contending ones that are all vying to offer these services. So love to learn a little bit more about your thought process with choosing Polkadot, because again, that's a hard one to walk back in 2 or 3 years. That's you're kind of so I'd be curious to hear your thought process about that.
Sure. So we started out on Ethereum. And I love Ethereum. It's going to be around for 1,000 years, and it's going to be, continuously evolving. I love what they're doing with just all the new updates with Ethereum 2. I think it's a good path forward. It's going to be this place where anyone can put out their ideas easily with a simple smart contract, throw together some open Zeppelin code and make your own new crazy game or token model or DeFi project. But we need to really start looking at the use cases for NFTs. And so there's a ton of friction points we found. People don't really want to pay $50 in transaction fees, first of all, to transfer a $2 NFT. Just the barrier of somebody getting crypto and getting a wallet and doing all these steps just to start interacting with their NFTs. We found that was a huge barrier for people and for developers. A lot of the game developers who are spending millions of dollars on their AAA games, they're like, how are we going to convince 1 million people to install a blockchain wallet and do all this stuff? So we are building Efinity to solve all those friction points. The fees, the friction of just obtaining crypto, companies can actually subsidize their users. They know what their users are. They can actually say that anyone's interacting with our tokens gets their fees subsidized by something called a fuel tank. And there's other mechanisms for subsidizing those fees. And then the whole economy from the ground up on Efinity is kind of made for NFT creators and NFT users. So instead of the fees going like to people who are solving crypto puzzles and mining and kind of trying to support this massive network of every single app under the sun, it's going to be focused towards NFT use cases, people that really want to contribute to the NFT space, developers, people running the nodes for these NFT transactions. That's what we're focusing on. So that's one of the reasons. And then the reason that Polkadot works well is that it is designed to build a network, like an internet of parachains. Yeah. So if you think of like a single blockchain like Ethereum, it's one big network, it's one shared state, everyone throws their apps in there. The way that Polkadot's built, every little kind of mini blockchain is running its own specific use case. So one could be made for DeFi, one could be made for bridges to different blockchains. One could be made for NFTs like Efinity. And we can hyper optimize the protocol there so that it is super fast, super efficient. It only does those things related to NFTs that our clients and our users want to do. And the way that the structure of renting a parachain means that we can design our whole economy, and that can be like a whole cycle in itself. So people use NFTs, people do price discovery on the network, they get EFI token, then they can reuse that EFI token for transactions on the network. Transaction fees come out for marketplace orders, they go right back into the network itself. They're not going to a centralized party somewhere. That's some of the thinking behind why we use Polkadot. And then in the end, Polkadot was created by Gavin Wood, and he was one of the creators of Ethereum. He's been in this space for a long time. He's designed Ethereum, he's designed Solidity, and he's been working on Polkadot for a good 5 years now. So they've put a huge amount of effort into it. The code is super solid. It's built on Rust and this framework called Substrate that they did. It allows for smart contracts. We see that this is going to be one of the major blockchains into the future.
Yeah, and Kevin, I just would add this as well on a personal note. The team, the Parity, Web3, and Polkadot teams have been fantastic to work with. Unlike when we started on Ethereum, we were given a thumbs up. Over here, they're very involved. They want to see us be successful at every turn. Can we have a touch base? Where are you at with this aspect of Efinity, and how can we support you, and how can we be helpful? And we just had this large opportunity approach us, and we'd love to bring you guys into the conversation. So there's a beautiful, almost poetic synergy with regards to the teams working together. So we're really grateful, and the sky's the limit here. We see massive opportunity.
And then one last thing about Polkadot is it's designed to be interoperable. So it's not, we're not just choosing some blockchain that's promising X transactions per second. And then, a couple of years down the line, we'll realize that the support there is kind of shaky. Polkadot, the team has had a huge amount of experience already building Ethereum and building Polkadot and building that community over so long that they want this to be fully connected to the entire blockchain space, the whole internet of blockchains. All the parachains on Polkadot and Kusama can communicate with each other seamlessly. There's a whole protocol for them communicating. So any tokens that exist on Ethereum or any tokens that exist on Polkadot or Kusama, they can just float in between all the networks seamlessly. And the whole system is designed for that. So it's quite beautiful to work with.
That's wonderful. And I'm sure that I found that very insightful and interesting, that the talk you guys just gave. And actually, there's a graphic you guys have on one of your pages on the website where it shows the difference between Polkadot and Ethereum. And I've seen a lot of those over the years. I thought that was actually one of the cleanest ways to describe it. So you guys have done a really marvelous job breaking the differences and trade-offs down. So we've talked a little, oh, sorry, Caleb, do you want to mention something?
No, thank you. Yeah, we've worked hard on making our graphics and just how we communicate really simple.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the website. This is a project I'm working on, a little off tangent, but we're going to be completely overhauling our website with an intent to just kind of distill very succinctly who we are, what we do, and how we're doing it. Very simple. Right now, we list a lot of different products because we've built this end-to-end blockchain ecosystem. And so we're actually very excited in the next 5 to 6 weeks to launch our new website.
Oh, cool. That soon.
Glad that you mentioned that, Kevin.
So we've talked a lot about the future and planning for decades in advance. Let's bring it back to this year. What would you guys say would be a good result for the end of the year? And I'll open it up to either one of you guys.
Well, I mean, we have a roadmap. We're constantly building Efinity right now. Our wallet is well underway, and we already have a pretty set ETA for that. We are currently working on the paratoken standard, and I don't know if I brought this up, but I was the original author of ERC 1155. We brought in some authors from our team and one person from Horizon Games. And that took 1 year to develop a standard that would be a future-proof, beautiful token standard for both fungibles and non-fungible tokens on Ethereum. We want to go a little further on the Polkadot ecosystem, build something called paratokens, which basically define how tokens can move across chains, how to identify something, what's an ID of a token, how will it live across Ethereum, Polkadot, any parachain. And sort of, all the details of how the images are stored, how different kinds of formats, 3D and different things are stored, and how these tokens, what these things can do, how can they bridge to other networks, etc. So we want to release the standard this year. We want to get the entire community involved, have them rip it apart, make it better. And that we hope this paratoken standard will be sort of the de facto multi-token standard for the Polkadot ecosystem.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of that. I think you hit on something really key, Witek. In addition to Enjin releasing products like our new wallet, NFT.io, and that being released well, we really value our community. Just personally, I want to see our community more involved. We're really grateful for our community's support and loyalty and patience with us, as we've taken a minute to really examine this like fast and furious space. We want to be incredibly careful and intelligent about the products that we're building, not get caught up in these crazes, right? That we're just manic and panicky. And, we are thoughtful at Enjin. We're very careful with what we do. And so our executive team really, we make it a point almost daily to come together and talk about what is it that we're building? Why are we actually building it? How does this benefit the community, whom we deeply care about? And where are we going with all of this? How are we bringing products to the world that bring good and change the world and do something for the good of humanity that's going to be sticky and lasting, not just the craze of a moment, not just transactional. We deeply care about what we do.
Fantastic. And having been involved in a lot of crypto communities and in your Telegram and Discord and things, it's you can see it, and it's really cool that you're building towards that. So one final question then. So for any of our viewers that might probably have a Kraken account, I hope, and can get some Enjin tokens, but haven't tried NFTs yet and haven't tried the platform, what's a good place for them to start? And what's a good place for them to learn more about it?
Yeah, Witek, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, a good way to get started is to try the Enjin wallet, pick up some NFTs. There's often sort of QR drops happening. If you're a gamer, try one of the games on the Enjin ecosystem. You can find them on our website. If you're a developer, you can sign up on cloud.enjin.io and start minting something, and you know, start figuring out how to use that in your product. You know, I would just you know, start playing with the space. Caleb, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would say, you know, get connected with us socially as well. Join our Telegram. We're going to have some amazing announcements coming down over the next several weeks about updates on our wallet. Again, we're thinking early fall with release of our new wallet and NFT.io. And then, yeah, we'll have some other very exciting announcements. So yeah, get connected with us. We are trying to make a point to communicate better.
Now, it's also, if you're interested in things like staking, this isn't something that's available quite yet, but it's coming very soon. If you are an Enjin coin holder, there's going to be a staking mechanism. So you can get involved in Efinity, get your foot in the door there. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Oh, fantastic. Caleb, Witek, thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it, and we wish you all the best in the future.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thanks, it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much for joining us today. If you enjoyed the conversation, please like and subscribe. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.